Show floor, and we've had quite an amazing day of show-stopping announcements and news and gameplay. And I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine, John Garvin, game director for Uncharted Golden Abyss, running on PlayStation Vita, and he has actually a rockin' demo for us to show. How are you feeling, buddy?
Good.
I'm sure good. It's gotta be more than that, man. Come on, give me more, man.
It's amazing. I'm thrilled to be here. It's awesome. Seriously.
Cool. So let's walk us through what you got for us here, dude.
All right, so this is the demo that we've been showing. We showed a little bit of it at the press conference, and we're going to get to run through the whole thing today, right?
Yep.
Sweet. All right, so let's start off with the opening cinematic. And
Are you guys editing this okay?
oh, I guess I should like do it over here so he can actually see it.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Bam.
Sweet. So one of the things that we worked really hard on was to achieve the same kinds of production values that they have on the PS3. And the great thing about the Vita is it allows us to do that. So we're pushing so many polygons and so many textures and so many animations. It's not funny. We have almost the entire library of animations from Uncharted 1 and 2 running on this game right now.
Right, talk about that, because people want to know if you guys worked hand in hand with Naughty Dog, or Paul and Paul, I should say. You used a lot of features from Uncharted 1 and 2, animations, maybe some assets. Talk about that. Even Nolan North as the voice actor.
Oh yeah, well those guys have been a big help.
Right.
And the great thing about Naughty Dog is that those guys are passionate about their game. They absolutely love the franchise, and they care about anything that goes out with the name Uncharted on. It's got to be super good. So for us to be able to work with them, and then they've been just really supportive, giving us like I said, their entire library of animations, and working with Amy Hennig, who wrote the script for Uncharted 1 and 2 and 3.
She is Uncharted.
Yeah, I guess, right? And it's like, so, she, was able to bounce story ideas off of her. And, so anything wrong with our story, I got to take the blame for, but anything that's really good about it, you got to kind of give Amy some props. So she
rock and roll.
Helped. Right on. So I'm going to try to just play through part of this. I really suck at playing and talking at the same time.
Just cheat a little bit. I know it's a little weird.
That's all right, dude. I'll try to help. So here's some other things that we're really proud of. So things like, this is the first handheld that has actual shaders on it. So for example, you can watch Drake, he gets completely sopping wet, and then when I come up here and step in this light, it's like casting real-time lights, and you can see Drake's wet and he'll dry off over time. So that's the kind of attention to detail that that Naughty Dog places in our game, and the Vita allows us to do that. So we were pretty excited about it.
Right now, let's really push the fact that this is the only handheld that can do this right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's like it's got a touch interface, and there's other machines that do that, but this level of detail. So for example, here's another example. So we have on Retribution, our last PSP game, we were pushing about 50,000 polygons a frame. Right here, as you can see, we're pushing about 270,000 polygons, and 100 megs of textures versus 10 megs of textures. So that's pretty impressive.
You back at the Judges Day event, you said a lot of stats. Give me some of those stats. Animations and cycles and how many textures. Give me some more of that. The geeks love that.
Well, yeah, those are the big ones, right? So it's like this kind of a vista, and like this is something that we didn't get a chance to show. It's like you come out here and you look at the draw distance that we have. I don't know if you can see that, but our artists work really, really hard. We like Francois Gilbert is one of our senior artists. And he's got a lot of next-gen experience, doing stuff for big consoles, and to be able to pull off this kind of a view on this handheld, he was pretty excited about being able to do it. So things like animations, 3,000 animations in memory at once for Drake to be able to do everything that he does in an Uncharted game.
Now, people don't know, but I do, that Sony Ben was there since day one of the conception of NGP, now PlayStation Vita. Talk about some of the input that PlayStation, execs reached out for and said, what would make the absolute perfect handheld?
Well, that's a good question, and we were pretty excited about that because we were at the very first meeting. Chris and I were invited to the very first meeting about what they were calling NGP at the time, and they had lots of different ideas for form factors and what it should be, and we were pushing for it to be a gaming machine first and foremost. And that's kind of like, I feel like all the developers, because it wasn't just us, it was like all the first party developers got a say in kind of like what this thing should be. So 2 sticks, certainly. You can see that it's like I'm controlling Drake with 1 stick and the camera with the other. That's classic, sort of standard third-party control. So for this kind of a game, I think you have to have that. And 2 sticks, huge, and that was directly a result of our feedback.
Say it the way you said it back at Judges Day when we interviewed you. What was the messaging? Just 2 sticks, 2 sticks, 2 sticks, 2 sticks.
2 sticks.
You drove it.
I did. And and I don't want that to get lost, because we're also excited about the rest of and we'll get into some of the touch features and so on, but just the fact that you've got a handheld with 2 sticks and the 5-inch screen, this is a perfect console game in your hands. It really is. We don't have to sacrifice anything to make any kind of a game we can imagine.
Well, what's really cool is, now let's talk about touch. Let's talk about this one first enemy, how you're going to approach them. I'm going to let you drive it.
So here's what we do. We have, I could just walk up to the guy and I would get an icon that would appear that would be the fist icon, and that basically means I can interact with him in some way, and I can just push him off the cliff. But let me do something more interesting though. Let me alert him and have him come and try to fight me. So here he comes. Oh shit, he threw a grenade at me. He's gonna freaking kill me. All right, I've never seen him do that before. That's Uncharted, and he killed himself. That's awesome. No, he didn't.
Just botched the demo?
All right, so here you go. Now I'm gonna try to fight him. So I'm tapping him directly, and then see, I get a swipe. So I swipe up, and then I get to do a finishing move. So I got to interact with him directly, and on the PS3 version, they don't have touch, so all that gets mapped to the square button, right? So we've just, that's one of the little things that we did. We said, okay, I can fight the guy by just interacting directly with him and kind of trying to tell Drake what I want him to do visually. So I thought, we thought that worked out pretty well.
Now let's show off some more of the touch features, how you're climbing, you're traversing the land.
All right, so I'm going to try to keep this so you can see it on the screen. There you go. Can you see that? All right, so I can start climbing the wall just by using the sticks and buttons, just like you normally would in Uncharted. And we wanted to do that because we wanted to make sure that fans of the series literally could just pick this up and pretend it was a DualShock controller with a beautiful screen on it. So, I'm doing that, and I'm like, okay, and I'm almost falling to my death, just like Drake does on the PS3. But then for other things, like being able to, you want to know which direction you can go, you can tilt the machine so that the whole thing becomes a controller. So as I tilt it, it tells me which direction I want to go, and then I just can tap on that edge, and he does this leap over to get there. So, and then we decided, okay, look, if I can interact that way, maybe I should be able to touch objects on the screen to interact with them as well. So it's like, you notice I'm like, and it's like I can do it exaggerated by taking my finger like that. But
milk it.
Plays that way. So here's the way you play. We treat the screen as if it's another button. So it's so natural to taking my thumb to the face buttons or just going like that, and then he just does it. So I think that's why when people are kind of questioning the touch, if they haven't actually picked it up and played it, it's because they don't realize that the screen is just a big button. And they're
multiple buttons because there's multi-touch.
Exactly.
Really, it's 4 buttons because you have the rear touch and you got the front touch. So talk about some of the ways you use the rear touch screen.
Well, hold on. Let me try to get a little further in the demo, and I can actually show you. So that's something we haven't had a chance to demo yet. And let me see if I can just...
So is this a world premiere exclusive on the PlayStation blog?
If I can live long enough to reach it, yes. Because normally, my co-director, Chris Reese, drives during these demos while I talk. So the traversal part, I can survive usually. But notice how I'm painting all these painting the stones and ledges, and it's telling Drake where to go. And then here I'll do a stealth takedown just by tapping on the enemy.